On the morning of July 16, 1969, the world held its breath, spellbound by the promise of something truly extraordinary. Cape Canaveral, our launch site, was bathed in the early light of dawn. An atmosphere of awe mingled with the weight of what was to come, and for those of us in mission control, the day felt like the culmination of lifetimes spent dreaming. Amid the controlled chaos, Jack Thompson, one of our team's most seasoned members, moved with quiet determination. Jack's sharp eyes flickered from one monitor to the next, scanning streams of data that measured the fate of Apollo 11. His hands, steady but with a faint tremor betraying his excitement, adjusted dials and reviewed checklists. It was surreal to see our work distilled into the final countdown. This was a day meant to surpass all that had come before. Jack and I shared a glance, our nerves were a mirror of each other's, a mix of anticipation and disbelief. Just outside, the Saturn V rocket stood ready, a giant of steel and dreams. Thousands had gathered to witness its launch, to see if humanity could break free from Earth's embrace and touch the stars. For those brief moments, the rocket, taller than a 30-story building, powerful enough to punch through the atmosphere, was a beacon, the physical embodiment of all we had sacrificed. As the final hours ticked down, mission control was a symphony of movement. Desks lined with glowing screens stretched before us like a never-ending wave, the room humming with a rhythmic pulse that seemed to sync with our collective heartbeat. We were a team of specialists, each trained to perfection and each dedicated to a single aspect of the launch. Jack Thompson was overseeing critical systems, tracking telemetry, and verifying the connections that would guide Apollo 11 out of Earth's atmosphere. His intense focus felt like a force in itself, drawing me and the others into the moment as if time was bending inward. Outside, the astronauts were preparing to board the capsule. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins appeared outwardly calm, yet we knew they carried the same apprehension in their hearts. Mission control followed their every move. Neil's final steps to the launch pad, Buzz's quiet adjustments to his helmet, Collins' careful examination of the controls. These men were about to cross a threshold none had dared before, and their courage was an unspoken inspiration. At last, the countdown reached its final stretch, and an intense silence settled over the room. Jack's gaze remained locked on his monitors, each screen a delicate thread in the tapestry of the mission. As the countdown hit 0, we heard a rumble that began deep in the earth. The roar of the Saturn V rocket burst through the silence, shaking the ground, filling the sky with fire and thunder. Jack's face was illuminated by the glow of his screen, his expression a mixture of awe and relief. We watched as the rocket ascended, a pillar of smoke trailing behind, carrying our hopes and dreams into the heavens. The cheers erupted only when the rocket was out of sight, swallowed by the sky. Our relief was profound, yet already our minds turned to the next steps. For all the glory of launch, this was only the beginning. Apollo 11's journey beyond Earth brought a shift within mission control. The launch had been a singular, explosive moment. Now, our roles required patience, vigilance, and precision. We were guiding the spacecraft through the vast expanse of space, monitoring a stream of data that measured everything from velocity to vital signs. Our excitement had simmered into a steady resolve. Jack, as usual, was tireless, his eyes locked on a large screen displaying the trajectory, his fingers tapping commands with clockwork efficiency. He was a key figure in keeping Apollo on course, an unspoken anchor for the team's resolve. Communication with the astronauts was both thrilling and essential. Each time Neil Armstrong's voice came through, describing Earth from the void, a blue marble against infinite blackness, we all felt the enormity of what we were doing. It was a description that stayed with us, a humbling reminder of our fragility against the vastness of space. Mission control was a living entity, the heartbeat of the mission, guiding the astronauts and supporting them in their journey toward the moon. Jack monitored the streams of telemetry like a seasoned conductor overseeing an orchestra. He analyzed each detail, knowing that even the smallest change in trajectory could have monumental consequences. For us, the routine became a comfort, a rhythm in the unknown. Each transmission from the spacecraft was a beacon in the darkness, a reassurance that we were one step closer to our goal. As Apollo 11 neared the moon, the entire team braced itself for the descent. The stakes were higher than ever, and the pressure was immense. The lunar surface was uncharted territory, and the landing required an unprecedented level of precision. Mission Control was a hive of activity, lit only by the soft glow of screens, casting shadows across the room. Jack stood at his console, his focus unbreakable, every muscle tensed in anticipation. The fuel levels were critical, and time seemed to stretch as we waited for each update. The descent of the lunar module, Eagle, was fraught with tension. We heard Neil and Buzz over the intercom, their voices steady but layered with urgency. Jack's eyes darted from monitor to monitor, tracking Eagle's descent angle and velocity, his hands ready to adjust calculations at a moment's notice. Every second mattered, every data point a lifeline. As the lunar module approached the surface, fuel levels dwindled alarmingly. We held our breath, hearts pounding as the tension escalated. Finally, the transmission came, the Eagle has landed. Cheers erupted, and there were tears of joy. Mission Control had transformed from a room of quiet, focused individuals to a sea of celebration and triumph. Jack, usually reserved, allowed himself a smile, his relief visible even in the dim glow of the console lights. It was a moment we'd dreamt of but had never fully believed until it was real. On July 20, 1969, the world was brought together as Neil Armstrong prepared to step onto the lunar surface. We all watched with bated breath, eyes fixed on the screens as he descended the ladder of the lunar module. There was a sense of solemnity in Mission Control, as if we all knew we were about to witness something sacred. Armstrong's first step was a moment of silence and awe, broken only by his words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The room erupted in a thunderous cheer. Even Jack, usually composed, couldn't resist the wave of excitement. We had just witnessed a new era for humanity, the beginning of a journey that would forever change our understanding of what was possible. Outside Mission Control, the world was united in celebration. People gathered in streets, at home, in bars, all watching the same grainy images of Neil Armstrong walking on the moon. It was a moment that connected us all, a moment that showed what humankind could accomplish together. For Jack, as for the rest of us, this was a personal triumph. All the late nights, the sacrifices, the setbacks, all of it had been worth it. We felt as if we, too, had taken that step alongside Neil, that we, too, had touched the lunar surface. With the lunar mission complete, our focus shifted to the safe return of Apollo 11. The journey back to Earth was as delicate and complex as the trip to the moon, and we knew that re-entry was one of the most dangerous stages. Mission Control was on high alert, every detail planned meticulously. We monitored the command module's descent with heightened intensity, Jack tracking the spacecraft's position and speed as it re-entered Earth's atmosphere. The heat shield held, and we watched the parachutes deploy with sighs of relief and gratitude. The command module splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, and as the recovery team approached, our final wave of celebration took hold. We felt as though we had come full circle, our mission complete. As the astronauts were brought aboard the USS Hornet, they entered quarantine, a period of precaution as the world celebrated their safe return. We watched as they emerged, Neil, Buzz, and Michael, heroes to us all. Their return marked a profound shift for each of us in Mission Control. Jack and I knew that we had been part of something that would outlive us, that would inspire generations. We were not just part of history, we had made history. In the years that followed, the legacy of Apollo 11 continued to unfold. The mission had a ripple effect, inspiring technological advancements and opening new frontiers in space exploration. NASA shifted its focus to long-term exploration goals, drawing inspiration from the success of Apollo 11. The Space Shuttle program, the International Space Station, and countless other innovations owe their roots to that moment when we first reached beyond our planet. For Jack and me, the mission was a lifelong inspiration, a testament to human determination and ingenuity. We had seen firsthand the power of collective effort, the way people from different backgrounds and disciplines could come together to achieve the impossible. Apollo 11's legacy was not just a technical marvel, it was a cultural touchstone, a symbol of hope during uncertain times, a reminder of the strength found in shared dreams. Looking back, the moon landing was not simply an event, it was a calling, an affirmation that humanity is meant to explore, to discover, to reach beyond the familiar. For Jack and me, our time in mission control shaped the rest of our lives. Whenever I remember that day, I am reminded that the spirit of Apollo 11 lives on, guiding future generations as they reach for new horizons.